Watch this.
Basically going to circle into this lot right here.
Oh, Boise. Okay. Yeah, baby. Let's go.
Boise got in it now.
Hundreds of hamburger fans lined up for hours to get their hands and taste buds on another California transplant. Yep, In-N-Out is now in Idaho. New year, new you. Well, in this case, we're talking about new laws taking effect, and the new you needs to know about them. Several of them have to do with what young people are up to these days and what Idaho won't let them do. Speaking of rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights turned 75 this week. In Boise, it's one of the few places in the world where you can see it in person. First of the year will be the first time some of Idaho's new rules will take effect. These are statutes signed into law last legislative session. Normally, the start date is set for the 1st of July, which is the start of the new fiscal year. Think appropriations bills, for example. But not all laws follow suit. Sometimes the legislature specifically states a different date for the law to go into effect, and sometimes it could be immediately. But there are those that are postponed to like the 1st of the year. Andrew Bartline explains a few of the latter.
Registering to vote is due a new regulation in the new year, impacting
I think
mostly students.
this makes it really hard for organizations like Babe Vote to help people complete voter registration. Most people receive a student ID when they're enrolled in high school or college. Other forms of ID, like a driver's license, they have a couple more extra steps that can become a burden to some young people.
But the state legislature made it clear student IDs will no longer be a valid document to register or vote.
There's no standard for student ID. A student ID that's made by my kid's high school is going to be different than the student ID made by U of I.
Standard accepted documents include an Idaho driver's license, a U.S. passport, tribal ID card, or a concealed carry permit. The state now offers a free ID card for anyone impacted by the change.
The state bent over backwards to give people the opportunity to vote in the state.
The state is now also giving people the opportunity to start fresh.
All of the collateral consequences that face you in America when you have something on your record. You can't get a job, you can't get a license to do this, that, or the other. You can no longer be a foster parent.
There's thousands of restrictions for a record, and Idaho's lawmakers say some people don't deserve it.
Minor in possession of alcohol, so if you're busted with a beer at a party when you're 19, offenses like that. So these are very low-risk offenses.
A qualifying record must be nonviolent and non-sexual. The one-time opportunity removes an offense from public view. It must be 5 years after completing a sentence with no following problems.
But we'll still be in law enforcement databases. Police will still be able to see it, and if you reoffend, that first offense will come back to haunt you.
Republicans push changes to the food stamp program across the finish line. It's commonly called SNAP. Supporters say House Bill 161 closes loopholes to the program. It now requires employment training for all able-bodied food stamp enrollees. Supporters add this will reintroduce more than 21,000 people to the state's workforce.
People who showed up today.
The hottest topic from last legislative session strikes cold reality for parents affirming their transgender children.
I will say
House Bill 71.
children in Idaho are suffering from these procedures, so-called therapies.
The law bans puberty blockers, transition hormones, and gender transition surgeries. This applies only to minors.
Is that a reality? Did you experience anything like that?
I did not experience anything encouraging me to be trans. Like, it just really sucks how people have been portraying it as like they've been groomed into this. Yeah, I would be very depressed at best.
Would literally turn my wife and I into felons.
The final bill signed into law finds any doctor providing gender transition care guilty of a felony with up to 10 years in prison.
We need to recognize that the kids are not equipped to make these sorts of decisions at such young ages, especially when the harms are so severe. From our perspective, these drugs are just as harmful, and kids need to be just as protected from them as they are from sex reassignment surgeries.
There is a possibility challenges to these laws could put them on temporary pause through an injunction. An appeal to the student ID law, for example, is currently in the Idaho State Supreme Court. We reported that yesterday. And then the minor transition ban, Brian, that is also working its way through federal court as well. The last update I saw was a couple months ago, but I believe they're asking for an injunction as well. So as these things move through court, there could be pauses, but right now it seems that these are in place to be law start of next year.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that transgender reaffirming medication and surgery stuff, that was postponed until the first of the year to give anybody in Idaho that's taking those the time to get off of those?
That was the idea, because the hormone aspect of it, if you are a transgender person or minor in this case who would be affected by this, if you are on those hormones, I understand cutting cold turkey like instantly is a problem, and that might be an inappropriate use of the phrase, but just cutting it instantly is not good. And so giving it time to wean off them if it's now illegal was the idea to help them with that.
All right, we'll keep an eye and see if anything else changes between now and then. All right, thanks, Andrew. Let's stay in history. Well, actually this week in history, the world came together to say, you know, enough is enough. On December 10th, 1948, 75 years ago, the newly established United Nations put on paper a global roadmap for freedom and equality for everyone. The horrors of World War II and the Holocaust pushed world leaders to create a document establishing that all humans need to be free and equal. The document is called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Boise is one of the few places in the world which has this declaration on display, and appropriately, you can find it at the Wasmuth Center for Human Rights. Joe Paris explains why.
The horrors of World War II shocked the world. Images and stories of unthinkable death and destruction caused the world to pause. In 1946, a document was drafted to address the topic of never again. In 1948, it was published as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
All humans have inherent dignity, and that honoring that dignity is sort of the foundation of peace, justice, freedom.
Christina Bruce Benyon is the executive director of the Wasmuth Center for Human Rights in Boise. The center's mission ties in perfectly with the UDHR.
I think it was an extraordinary effort, given how divided and literally out of massive conflict so many regions of the world were at that time coming out of World War II. The fact that so many countries came together, 48 countries at the time signed it, is a pretty extraordinary effort, I think, and I think speaks a lot to how really terrible and destabilizing sort of the events of World War II and what we saw happen during that time.
The city of Boise has a unique tie to the entire document itself.
Part of the Idaho Anne Frank Human Rights Memorial, we are one of the few places that has the full text of the UDHR completely written out for the public to read. It's actually in these tablets behind us and has been a long-standing core part of the memorial. And so it's a really instructional space. It's a reflective opportunity to really think about. So yeah, we're proud to have it here.
75 years after it was published, this living document serves as an important reminder of protecting human rights around the world. Bruce Benyon highlights what sticks out to her.
There was this collective faith in the fundamental nature of human rights and the fact that that is really that human rights and dignity and worth of the human person and in the equal rights of men and women to have determined and to promote social progress and better standards of life and larger freedom. So just again connecting that idea that it really all flows from dignity.
Words like respect and dignity are used commonly, but a deep understanding and education of what those truly mean takes it a step further.
That's actually one of my favorite things is to go through this with a group of students and hear their responses and their reflections and even the acknowledgement that people came together to really think about what are fundamental and universal human rights. The UDHR really was the first international effort that went in, that really took hold in the way that it has and that they've continued to build on it with additional more enforceable type things over the decades.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is not a simple document. It's extensive and it serves a purpose, a roadmap for human rights around the globe. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt pushed that purpose as chairperson of the drafting committee of the UDHR.
When you look at these different rights as they are laid out, they are often the ones that really start close to home and in our communities and in our workplaces and in our homes and in our schools. And so it's a good reminder that while these are big and universal, they are the things that really start close to home.
So first, real quickly, you might have noticed some black holes there in the middle of the story. That is my mistake. I just had an error there, so my apologies to the Wasserman Center. We will re-export that video and we will get that fully up online for you later on. But I will say, on an interesting note, you may notice, Brian, in the story, the part that you're able to see, the tablets that are set up at the Wasserman Center of the UDHR, they actually go from right to left. And you may be wondering, well, most people, they read left to right. It's actually because most languages, a lot of languages around the world, they do go right to left. And the way that the tablets were made, it was really in essence of this, the message has been shared across the world.
The tablets do, but looking at them, you read them left to right.
You do, you do read left to right on the actual tablets, but the tablets in terms of order 1 through whatever, they do go right to left. So a little
signify it's universal.
Yes, yes.
Got it.
Very interesting.
Makes sense.
There you go.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
All right, you know the drill. This is the part of the show where we want to know what you think of the show, or maybe just let us know if you have any questions we can answer. Text us 208-321-5614. Don't forget your name and the hashtag #the208. Well, it is now, So Idaho. You know, there's been so much speculation and anticipation for an opening of an In-N-Out Burger in Boise. You would think the Queen was coming to town. Hold on, I'm dating myself. You would think Taylor Swift was coming to town. Back in 2020, the family-owned burger chain made it be known they had plans to open an Idaho location within 5 years. And since then, it's been a flash-fried fever for animal-style fries, quadruple-stacked burgers, being closer than a 4.5-hour drive from the Treasure Valley. Monumental In-N-Out store number 400, that is now open in Meridian, making Idaho the 8th state to welcome the fast food chain. And apropos of their name, the company managed to open the store at the Village at Meridian quicker than expected, so it's fitting. They also opened on day one earlier than expected, helping to complete the love story for the hundreds who showed up to wait in line. The busiest intersection in Idaho,
already moving slow, Eagle Road at the Village in Meridian,
just got a bit busier.
They are directing traffic into the parking lot there. Expect delays.
Delays on the drive.
Looks like that may be a concern all day today.
Are nothing compared to the standstill in the parking lot, with cars collecting 8 deep in anticipation of the opening of Idaho's first In-N-Out.
Probably a couple hundred at least.
Bill Davis, he got here early. You've been here since noon yesterday.
Yeah.
To get a hamburger.
Yep.
So he isn't that far back in line. And you're number 2.
Number 2, yep.
For a hamburger that's number 1 in his mind.
Every time we fly down to California, first thing is In-N-Out. Every time we leave California, In-N-Out, and then catch a flight.
Bill has patiently waited for a while.
I've waited 25 years for this.
So what's a few more hours? It's just a hamburger.
It's what a hamburger's all about.
Spending the night in his truck in order to be one of the first to order a double-double.
20 years down the road when I'm in my walker, I could say, I was a number 2 there.
Then finally,
all right, that first car is coming now.
Just before 9 a.m.,
I'm sending cars.
The final approach begins. To understand the fanfare for animal-style burgers and fries, it helps to see it to believe it. where it's not just the people who dress up for the occasion.
My wife made this for a children's Halloween costume. My daughter wore this one, my son wore this one.
Meanwhile, the line to get in is well out the door. And where we find Sydney and Robert.
No more Utah trips.
No more Utah trips.
Who just got off the night shift.
Had to come here?
Yeah.
Sydney says the grub is great, but she's really here for her mom, an In-N-Out fan who passed away 6 years ago.
It's like a little memorial thing. We do something special every year for her birthday, so we're doing this year.
What was your mom's favorite?
My mom used to like to do a double animal style and French fries and a strawberry milkshake.
So you got to get that.
Possibly.
The line to get in
I don't think anyone realizes how fast they get you in and out of here.
is nowhere near as long as the line of cars.
2 doubles, animal style.
Best friend Kayla and Caitlin from CUNA are so close,
Yeah, so far.
but they've been in line since 4 a.m. Why?
I came because she's my best friend and wanted it. I've never had In-N-Out before, so this will be my first time.
Waiting for 5.5 hours for food she's never had.
I hope I like it. I hope it's worth the wait.
Bill Boyles, he knows it is.
You know, it's just so exciting to be here in Idaho.
Because Bill used to work at In-N-Out in high school.
396 stores ago. We've been waiting a long time. We've been in Idaho 48 years, and we have been waiting for In-N-Out to come here.
For Bill Davis and his kids,
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, how are you?
their wait is also over.
That's double, cheeseburgers, and the fries. Here are those 4 burgers for you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, man.
Back out in the parking lot,
Go down to the stop sign, make a left. I think it's a left.
the line
Okay, yeah, baby, let's go!
Boys, you got In-N-Out!
getting a little longer. You got some time on your hands today?
Yeah, we do now.
Eric Lynn didn't give it much thought before he drove down here.
It's going to be a bit.
But he's not worried about it.
Well, I got to let the boss know, but
Are you missing work?
a little bit.
They don't know.
They have no idea.
And soon, in a matter of hours, Eric and everyone else several lots away will experience what Bill already is.
It's real.
The euphoria of an In-N-Out double-double.
Oh, dude.
Okay, we got to point out that Eric Lynn, the last guy we spoke with, the guy we met with his friend in the car in lot 3, by the way, he didn't get there until about 10:30 this morning, a time it was supposed to open, but he told us he couldn't wait any longer. He sent us a message to say they bailed after waiting 30 minutes. He realized waiting hours for a hamburger wasn't worth their job. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, so we bailed before the line got longer as well. According to the Idaho Statesman, by noon, the wait at the drive-thru at the Village Meridian was up to 8 hours. The traffic controllers, by the way, those directing people from parking lot to parking lot, they told us today they plan to be employed until at least January 9th. Okay, so some of you may be wondering, I gotta believe it's faster to drive to the next closest, the closest In-N-Out, right? Well, Joe and Andrew, they had the same thought.
All right, Andrew, I want to get an In-N-Out hamburger, but I do not want to wait in line at the Village. Can you tell me where the nearest one would be? That's not in Idaho.
The phone says 4 hours, 32 minutes, Ogden, Utah.
All right, let's head down I-84 and let's go get a hamburger. I'm curious, do you have any tunes to help this 4-hour-plus car ride go by?
I do. Have you ever heard of Doc Friedman and the Tomcats?
Turn that up.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this is some real burger music.
It's pretty good.
Are you willing to bet on it? Your odds might be better if you place your money on Idaho. Well, then again, maybe not. Not that we're promoting gambling here on the 208, but this is the part of the show where we do want to promote putting your money where your mouth is. Well, let's hear what you have to say first. Text us, 208-321-5614, and let us know what you think about what we're talking about. Of course, if it's clever and clean enough, and you include your name in the hashtag the 208, your chances of seeing yours at the end of the show are in your favor.
Well, if you wanted to find blue skies and sunshine today, you had to go a little further than Boise or even Twin Falls. Tamarack Resort, you saw plenty of beautiful blue skies. Look at this picture postcard, perfect sunset that is happening right now over Long Valley. Absolutely gorgeous, crystal clear skies up there. Not so much here in Boise. We still have a mostly overcast sky, but hey, if you have to wait outside for 4 to 5 hours for a burger in the middle of December in Boise, this wasn't a bad day to do it. Yes, it was overcast, but it was dry, relatively calm, and temperatures above average. We're at 42 right now in the City of Trees. We hit 44. That will be the high for today. Much colder as you head east towards the Magic Valley. Twin Falls only hit 35. It was warmer in Haley today than some of our valley locations. That's one of our key indicators there that, yes, we have an inversion that is setting up and will strengthen in the coming days. So we had a weak area of low pressure that dove to the southeast today. This weather phenomenon is what we're more concerned with. This big ridge will start building in. Sinking air below the ridge will not allow for any vertical mixing of the atmosphere that allows all the pollutants to gather at the surface, and it traps moisture at the surface as well. So stagnant air in play through at least Thursday, likely into the weekend. So air stagnation advisory in effect. And we'll also see probably every morning and in some places persisting into the afternoon that fog or stratus, low-lying cloud cover, because of the cold, moist air that is trapped here. So tomorrow, as we look at Wednesday, whole lot like today. We'll see low 40s for those high temperatures each and every afternoon with some fog in the morning, partly cloudy skies in the afternoon. We see the inversion get mixed out early next week.
All right, here we are 12 days from Christmas, so naturally the question isn't about which partridges or pear trees they might get, but whether this Christmas will be one of white. Even Rachel isn't that good to know whether we'll see snow on Christmas Eve this far away, but per usual, the outside experts are doing their best to predict it. A poll done by BetUS, which is an online sports betting company, well, they've laid out the odds. Yeah, it isn't like knowing who plays better against the spread, but BetUS looked to other experts to help handicap the holiday. And they took a look at historical weather patterns to figure out what small American town is the most likely to have a white Christmas. And guess what? Sun Valley, Idaho comes in as the fifth most likely festive small town to have a white Christmas. Sun Valley, certainly small, it's certainly festive. But even according to their odds, it's only a 56% chance of a white Christmas. So it's a big drop from, Stowe, Vermont, where it's pretty snowy most of the time. So we have that going for us, right? Fifth best, or maybe we don't, because according to another poll, another gambling website, Idaho is not one of the best places for a Christmas vacation. In fact, apparently we're the fourth worst state for such vacation. Gambling.com considered the likelihood of snow, places to shop, and accommodations, both availability and affordability. Nevada, New Mexico, Alaska, they're worse than us, and that's understandable, I guess. But the best, they say, is Ohio. Here's how. They say that Buckeye State has the most places to stay for under $200 a night. No kidding. And 273 shopping malls, so they win. Nothing screams holiday like a mall in middle America. All right, so many messages today. We just got time for a few, like this one. It'd be a great exercise for all people to read the human rights tablets and treat each other as the tablets dictate. Respect and dignity. Throw in kindness, too, says Jackie. Just don't look at social media. Did anyone in Ada County work today? It looks like they were all at the new In-N-Out, says Ken in Kimberly. It does, and continue to be that way. Enough with the In-N-Out. It's a fast food chain opening. Big deal. Aren't there more important things happening in the world? As much as I love cheeseburgers, I don't think they deserve week-long coverage. When people show up for 8 hours to wait for a hamburger, you better believe we're going to talk about it. Joe and Andrew are heading to Salt Lake. Can they grab some things from IKEA? Love In-N-Out, but miss IKEA more. Maybe someday, but yeah, I'll ask them if they can.